Okay, let's get started. So, recap time. I've actually removed a couple of capacitors so far, so I'm gonna get stuck back in now. Um, yeah. Wake up the solder station. Okay, right, so first of all, I'm just gonna tack this capacitor in. Yeah, that's tacked now. And then let's get it soldered good and proper. We'll just feed some delicious solder on there. I've managed to tin another pad instead of solder what I meant to. How good is that? Ah, well, not to worry. Let's see if I can get this a bit better. Oh, there we go. Let's adjust that. Perfect. And then let's spin this around. Let's have a better look at this. So, spin it around. Is that on the pad okay? Yep, I think it is. So let's get that soldered up as well. Not sure if you can see this. You can probably see it a little bit. So I want to avoid heating anything around this that I don't want to heat. So I'm going to try coming in underneath like this. Oh, that's tricky. That's tricky. I don't have the best camera mounting setup here either, so it just makes accessing things that little bit more tricky, so but it's okay. This is surprisingly awkward. But hey ho, needs must as the devil drives. So I cannot tell if I'm doing this right on this angle. I think that's okay now. Just gently move things around a bit. And let's try and come in at a different angle right here. On this leg. I think this one could use just a little bit more solder. It kind of looks like the leg of the capacitor is sort of floating in midair. It's probably not so visible on the camera, but yeah, I can see it. So let's get some heat on there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is just blob on a little bit of flux. There. I probably should have done this before, really, but that's okay. God, you can really hear the storm outside. Well, you guys probably can't, but I can. Man, it's windy. So you guys, I don't even know if anybody's watching. But that's okay. There we go. That's definitely okay. So I don't really want that blob of solder on the other pad. It's going to get in the way while I place the next capacitor down because it won't sit flush and it's just going to be awkward. I mean, well, I guess I could heat it up and just blob it in, but we'll see. So I'm just going to wick it up super quick. There we go. Now, I believe this capacitor is a 68 microfarad 6.3 volt capacitor. So I'm just going to find one of those. So what have we got? We have got, oh, that's 68, 6.3. Perfect. Right. So grab ourselves a capacitor. There we go. I think I'm going to try and make my life a little bit easier on soldering this one. The other one was a bit awkward to get out with the weird angle I've done the legs. So what I shall do... God, I hate these tape reel caps. I'd rather have them loose. Right. You know, I don't really want to cut my mat. I'll do it off camera. Yeah, loose capacitors are much nicer to work with because they're just less hassle. Less hassle all around. And less hassle is all any of us want, really, isn't it? Okay, that's one leg free. I really, really hate doing these. They're the most annoying way of... Oh, God, I'm just snipping this off. Right. There we go. Okay, so what is the polarity on that? Positive on the right-hand side. Okay. So, now that we have our cap here, I'm going to bend it. Sit it flush. Okay. Next thing I want to do is just pop it into position, make sure that's going to fit, which it clearly is. And we just trim up these legs a bit, so snip off the excess capacitor legs like this. And then put it into position. Oh, there we go. Actually, I do like that positioning. That's fine right there. That's pretty much bang on. Okay. Stick a bit of flux on here. we go. It's good to be liberal with flux. It makes soldering that much easier. Let's wake up my soldering station. That's on standby. Yeah, the intention with this Game Gear actually is to put a brand new screen on it. I don't even know if this one works. It probably does, but it's a faulty Game Gear. It actually doesn't work at the minute because capacitors are buggered. Does mean buying them's very, very cheap though. Oh, for the love of God. That's one. That's two. Now, I'm not happy with that. So I'm just going to touch it up. The other one. Beautiful. Okay. Perfect. Oh, Christ. No, it isn't perfect. I've soldered it in wrong. That's the wrong polarity. God damn it. Okay. I should have been paying more attention. That's my problem right there. Okay, not to worry though. Come on. There we go. I should have most definitely been paying more attention because I soldered the negative onto the positive. That would be bad. You know what? The legs on this are buggered now. I'm going to have to... Another. Oh, I hate grabbing these ones. It's 68, 6.3, I think it was. Let me double check that though. The one next to it's 100, so yeah, 68. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Making mistakes. Making mistakes. Like a sir. Alright, that's a new cap. So positive goes on the right-hand side, which is that side. So I want to bend the legs this way. Down. Like that. And up. Like that. A little bit blurry there. Doesn't seem to want to focus, but yeah, whatever. Right. Get that nice and flat. Okay, positioning's good. So just snip it. Trim those legs. And let's try this again. I think this is going to be a bit fiddly without removing the solder first, but I'm feeling kind of lazy with it. Let's see if I can get away with it. I don't like that. No. Okay. Let's adjust these legs more, shall we? That's the problem. Okay. Alright, that should help. Aye, it's always something. Okay. And again, I think this actually needs a bit more flux. So, blub, 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 blubbity, blub, blub. See how that goes. Much better. Apart from the fact I'm huffing flux fumes. Yeah, okay. That's nicer. And those polarities are actually correct now, which means it won't blow up. Which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we probably don't want happening in our electronics. But okay. Pretty sure those joins are okay. Yeah. Right, it's time to remove some caps. So let's go with... what should be the next cap to remove? I gotta do that one, these ones. These two are the ones that are gonna be most annoying. Okay. Let's do C4. Just rocking it loose, because these are often glued down. I don't think this one is, though, which is good news. So... I heat it up. Come on. Come on. Oh, God, these stink. These always stink. No, it's not coming. Alright. I'm going to use my trick to get these off. I don't... Not the best thing to do, but it works. You get your wire snippers and you snip the cap legs. Assuming you can get at them. Little tricky. One. You got to be gentle because you don't want to go ripping off a pad as you do it, you know? You rip off a pad and it's just a whole lot more work than necessary. There we go. And that's gone. That cap is a 10 microfarad 16 volt. I've got a few of those around actually, so that's fine. The next thing you want to do is just take off the old legs which are still on the pads. But to do that, you just heat it up, move your soldering iron across, and it just sort of comes off with the iron tip. So, there we go. Do the same again for the other. Doesn't want to come, this one. Let's get some flux on it, maybe. It's annoyingly close to that IC as well, actually. I don't really want to go accidentally desoldering an IC leg. Yep, that got it, I think. Yep. Cool. Right, so then we clean the pad up. It's always good to clean the pads up, because they have ancient solder on them as well. So let's just do that. One down, one to go. There we go. So I think that's a nice clean pad. Yep, it is. Okay, so C4 was 100 microfarad, 16 volts. So let's grab one of those. Should probably put these 68 microfarad ones back. There we go. I'm looking for 10 microfarad. Okay. 22. 25. 16 volts, 10 microfarads is precisely what we need. And these ones are loose as well. I prefer them like this. This is always good. Okay. So, again, we got another cap to do. So let's get this one. This would be easier with SMD caps. This would be a lot easier with SMD caps, but you know, we make do. So the negative lead goes on the left-hand side on this. It's kind of annoying that these Sega Game Gears label their positioning with a positive instead of a negative, like most devices do. But hey-oh, right? Hey-oh, okay. Like that. So I can see there I want to pull these legs apart just a tiny bit. There we go. Right, these ones are good to snip. And then we just pop it into place like all the others and solder it into position. So that looks mostly okay, but I can adjust it a bit. Yeah, that's good. So I'm just going to tack it into position this time, I think. So I get a bit of flux on the leg. Tin up the iron. One leg done. Actually, that's pretty well soldered. I like that one already. I think I need to do much more on that cap. Okay, cool. So, next it's this bank of annoying capacitors here, and these two buggers right here will get in the way of the case when reassembling it if I'm not extremely careful with how I position them, because it can go too far and block the plastic pillar. And if you don't sit them flush enough to the board, it means it can't actually close the Game Gear either. It's a little tricky, this one. I'm sure I'll be okay, though. I'm sure I'll be okay. So that's a 4.7 35-volt microfarad. Well, let's do these two 50-volters. Oh, this one's crusty. Don't know if you can see it from there. Probably not. Let's see if I can bring that into focus. Right here. I can focus that just a little bit better. Look how crusty those legs are. That is a bad cap if I ever saw one. Okay, okay. Obviously, the order of the day here then is to fix that bad cap. Let's get this back into focus as well. There we go. Okay. I hope it hasn't damaged the PCB. Ooh, that is not a good cap. That's corroded its own legs. Doesn't look to have damaged the PCB at least, so that's good news. That will take a little bit of cleanup. And this one also looks like it's given up the ghost. You have to be ever so gentle doing this so as not to rip a pad. It's really, really, really awkward. You know, I should probably look at the chat, actually. I haven't done that. No chat at all. Don't think there's anybody even watching. Not to worry. Not to worry. One and... Crikey. Those are absolutely disgusting. I've got to get some of that scungy grunge off. So if we get some flux on it, and some solder, should be alright. Right, that's the old leg off at least. That's good. And for the next, I got it. I'm not even sure. I can't really see that. That had not taken the leg off. Okay, now it has. That is real scungy though. Get that cleaned up. Has it actually corroded that pad that much? It's actually hard to tell. Get a bit more isopropyl on that. Let's see if a bit more fresh solder on that will help, and let's see if a bit of desolder wick will help too. One of the most important things about soldering is make sure everything's nice and clean. If you've got scungy contact pads, good luck. You know, I suspect that's going to be alright now. That's come up alright. Yep, that's come up a lot better. I can actually see some of the contact pad now. We got lucky there. We got lucky. It doesn't look like the electrolytic that's leaked from the capacitor has done any serious damage to the board, so that is good news. And the other one looks a bit crap as well. So let's get it off. As in the legs. Right. Okay, that's one. I'm quite looking for... Oh, bloody hell. I'm quite looking forward to getting my new microscope. Gonna make doing this a whole lot easier. I think I got that off. Looks like I did. Okay. Should just get some fresh solder on these pads and then wick that off. Same again. Kind of annoying I've still got the old LCD on it. It actually makes it a lot more awkward because I can't maneuver the board around quite as easily. It's soldered down by a ribbon flex cable. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Yep, those pads have come up fine. Now I know I did brush this just a smidgen. What I'm going to do is apply a bit of solder to my iron. And we have flux already on there. I'm just going to come in and redo that joint. There we go. And annoyingly, I now have excess solder on the pad again. And it's gone. And it's gone. Right. Anyhow, let's get a bit of ISO on there. Yeah, good. And let's give it a clean up. You know, I could use my ESD brush for this. Where is that? Probably amongst all this somewhere. Yeah, you'll do. Right. Okay, I think these pads are cleaned up enough now to solder the new thing. So I need 50 volts, 0.47, I think. Yep. I need a couple of these. I really need to get these as flush as I can, actually. The orientation of these is going to be tricky. We've got a couple of caps. Right. You see, the thing I've got to be aware of is how they line up to this right here. So we know that we've got 3 pillars there, and that sits next to the third pillar, which is in line with this plastic. So if I hold that cap there, there is essentially no additional room for that beyond that. Between that and the PCB, that is just enough clearance. If it lays perfectly flush, which it'll have to. So I can't align it in that position, but I possibly can align it in that position. Just. Yeah, okay. It's going to be tricky. So we'll bend the legs as flat to the cap as we can. And then, using our trusty tweezers, that should just about be what we want. And then I'll bend it like that. Well, this is a tricky one. Positioning the legs. There we go. So if we look at that now, that will have enough leg to solder. So then we want to bend these down to get it a bit flatter. Probably struggling to see what I'm doing, but there we go. We don't need much of these legs. These are going to take a bit of trimming. These are actually massive caps for their size. 0.47. Okay, anyway. Right, that should be good in that position. Let's flux it up. Maybe change the positioning of the PCB so that we can get it a little better, a little easier. I think maybe that position would be better. Shame that's kind of hanging up in the air like that, but that should be okay. Yeah, okay, so we want to get flux on these legs. As per usual, let's position the capacitor just a little better. Tricky. Smacking the camera as I move my hands around. So what I'm doing is liberally tinning the soldering iron. Then, oh shit. I think that's positioned about right. That's tacked it in, and that capacitor is roughly flush with the edge of the board, so that's good. Sure, we've got nice good solder joints on that cap. I believe we do. Looks like we do. You know what? I'm going to check that under the scope real quick. So if we just move this board gently, because again, I'd rather not damage the LCD that's on there. I'm planning to move it off and uninstall it and put a new one on. It's more work than you might think. But let's take a look at the scope. Okay, there we go. So let's move this way. No, it's not very bright, is it? I think that needs a bit more brightness. Difficult to see, but I'm pretty sure that those solder joints are actually good. This is why I want a better microscope, to be fair. Not that this is too bad. I mean, it was good for the money, but, you know, £50 is pretty cheap. I do think that's a pretty good solder joint. No, I don't think there's any issue with that. So let's bring this back. Now that's perfectly flush with the board. The next one's going to be a bit tricky too. I'm going to have to do similar again, I think, but that should actually not be too much of an issue. So if I do the same again. So if I switch back to the camera, there we go. Get this into view a bit better. I'll just gently move this LCD. There we go. Right, so if you have a look here, I should be able to lay this cap like that next to it. I'm being as neat as I can. I like to be neat with these solder joints just because if we're going to do a job, we might as well do it properly, right? So So in case you're wondering, I'm just bending the legs into position like that. And again, we do a quick, yeah, that'll be perfect actually. And that should fit quite nicely into that gap. It should fit flush to the board, which is the most important thing. We want this to be as flush to the PCB as we can. And the reason for that is because using these radial electrolytic caps in a system particularly designed really for surface mount device caps. Well, I say surface mount, they are surface mount, the ones that it originally came with, but they're kind of these inside a special housing, really. But I think that will be nice and flat to the board. I could do with reorienting the legs to be a bit straighter. I bend that to the side, that to the side. Perfect. So, again, we trim the legs. We trim them to about that much. So there's a good bit that'll end up soldered down, I think. That's just about the size of the pads. Yeah. So we snip. And then position. So positive on the right hand side. And just to confirm, the negative strip is on the left. Yep. Excellent. So we get a little bit of flux again, you know the drill by now. We get flux, we turn the tip, blob it down, that tacks it into position, do the other leg, rinse and repeat. There we go, there's the flux down. Tip the soldering iron, tin the soldering iron even, sorry. And that's tacked down nicely. There we go. I think I'm happy with that, but what I'll do, as I always like to do, a smidgen more flux on both and tap it down. Great. Right, these caps so far are looking good. We've only got 1, 2, 3. We've done that. I've still got that one to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 capacitors to go. And a lot of these won't take me anywhere near as long because they're not so densely parked with each other. I'm not sure if this is actually a socket right here, if I can pull this off or not. I don't really want to risk it. I mean, it should be. I don't want to rip that up. Okay. Now one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test that this still actually fits into the case. This side. I think. Yeah. Nuts. So what I'm going to do is just move this out of the way for a moment. Bring this in. Pop the power board in. And then ever so gently flip that over. Is that right? Yeah. So feeling that, that's not bulging, that's nice and flush, which means that this game gear will seal properly, which is what we want. Otherwise, you have to tweak the capacitor positions, and it's just a little bit annoying. You have to be real careful with them. I've made the mistake of not getting the capacitors quite flush with the board, which means you essentially just can't close the damn thing. Anyhow, let us continue on this adventure. On this rather long play adventure. So I'm going to pop these off, pop that off, solder the new caps on. So what are these? These are 4.7 35 volt. Oh no, they're different. 4.7 and 22. Okay. So fiddly, guys. Send help. One. Come on, I can feel you biting the leg. Just snip. There we go. And that's off. 4.7 at 35 volts. Okay. I know I've got some of those. Looking around for caps now. 4.735. What's this? 1610. Nope. What's this? Nope. $35 volts at 4.7. That was what I said, wasn't it? Yes. Okay, excellent. I have found one. Although this is an audio grade cap, but you know, that's fine. Assuming I can actually get them out of the packet. There we go. And the other one was 22 at 6.3. I could see one of those as well. Yep. Okay. $22 at 6.3. Right, I'm going to take a break for a moment just while I have a vape, so I'm going to flip back over to that for a moment. Now, just imagine you've got some elevator music playing in the background, you know. Okay, let's get back to it, shall we? So, we have the replacement 4.735 volt cap. 4.735, yeah, okay. And the orientation of that is this way. That should actually fit flush enough. So, again, we do the usual with the capacitor leg bending, so we bend that way until it's relatively flush with the capacitor, like so. And then we bend again to sort of create the solder, the flat legs for soldering with. What I've managed to do is lose my tweezers. There we go. I've managed to unlose them now. Pull these legs apart a bit because I think they're a bit closer together than most other caps. They are. So, you know, because these aren't service mount caps, I'm basically modding them to be. And that's what most people do when recapping these. A lot of people use surface mount capacitors as well, and I think, what did I name? Retro 6, they're a UK seller. They sell surface mount ones. The only thing I don't like about Retro 6's surface mount capacitors is none of them are labeled. I don't know what the capacities are on them, what the microfarad values are, what the voltages are. They give you a strip. In fact, I've got a strip of these here. Right here. Where are they? So... yeah, okay. They're all 100 microfarad with... And there's another bunch that are all 10 microfarad. And that's it. But if we take a look, you know, we get these. And they're good kits. They're good kits. They come packaged well, these Retro 6 ones. And they're a good seller. But I'm paranoid. Maybe Retro 6 might reach out to me at some point, or I should reach out to them, really. They're not going to reach out to me. Not, you know, I'd have to ask a question. But the question is, how can you use 100 microfarad caps where you're supposed to have 4.7 microfarad? Oh, no, I believe they give you 1 microfarad as well for that. But, you know, there's various points on here with different value caps, like 22 microfarad. This one is 4.7. How would you use 100 microfarad? As far as I'm aware, maybe the Game Gear is tolerant to that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, but it sounds a little bit, you know, suspect to me, I guess. I really would have thought that you'd want to match the values, which is what I do. I just match up the values and use Nichicon capacitors because Nichicon are a particularly good cap manufacturer. That's the other thing I'm not sure about with Retro 6 is, you know, who manufactures their capacitors. I don't know. I don't know where they source them from. They could be generic, no-name, cheap ones that at some point are just going to go bleh, die. Although I do think they might be polymer and don't have polarity. So perhaps not, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Let's not dilly-dally. Been doing enough of that. There we go. So that's that and that. So the negative will be facing the top. Shite, did I bend this wrong again? I bent this wrong again, didn't I? God. You know, here's me making all these neat bends and I bend it the wrong way around. Typical. Sorry, I'm attempting to rebend this capacitor into the proper form. Well, what happened there? Did I just lose my microscope? I think I did just lose my microscope. Interesting. I don't know what happened there. Is that still a camera source? Looks like it. Is it working? Oh no, that frame buffer's frozen. Well, not to worry. Right, where was that cap I was just working on here? You know, I'm going to say that one's a lost cause. Let's grab another. So I needed a 4.735 volter. All right. So let me just double check these polarities before I go folding. Okay. So I want this aligned like that. Positive goes at the bottom, which is this side. Yeah, okay. So I just need to fold like that. Legs apart while I'm at it. Grab the tweezers again. Right, that should be good. And then let's trim them up. Oh, bent that a bit too high. It's a fiddly thing. It's a fiddly thing. And that's why I went completely silent. I was concentrating on cleaning up and bending these properly. So that should be okay now, I think. I think that's a nice... Do those legs need to come up? I think the legs need to come apart just a little bit. And you know what? That's going to be very, very close to the post. I think these legs need to be bent in more. if I bend them in. Ooh, that was dangerous. Don't want to do that. Dropping my tweezers on the delicate LCD there. I really don't want to do that. There we go. So those legs are sitting pretty flush to the capacitor now, and if I maneuver these legs back, that should fit nicely now, actually, with just enough clearance, I think, for the support. I'm not sure if there's enough room, but yeah, there's just enough room between these legs. I do need to pull them apart ever so slightly. How are we looking there? Oh, that's much better. Right, well, let's get rid of these legs on the pad. This is fiddly. Excuse me. There we go. And then again, it's just a case of cleaning up the pads, fresh solder, flux, yada yada yada. So let's do that. So tip the iron, get some fresh solder on there. Just sort of cleaning these pads up a bit. There we go. There we go. Right, cool. Gonna clean them up with some ISO. Usual drill when you're cleaning pads. To be honest, these pads look to be pretty clean now. The next step is obviously to get new caps on, so let's do that. So what I'm going to do is just snip a teeny bit of these legs off. Just a tiny, tiny amount. I don't need much off. Just a tiny amount. Maybe a millimeter or less. Hard to judge it. Alright, I think I've trimmed off just enough there. And the idea is I can move this just a little bit further back now on these pads without bringing it into contact to the very other components that are very close to it, but that looks okay. So, flux, and we'll do the tack method, where we tip the soldering iron and then come down and tack it into position. And the flux should help us not bridge anything as well, which is, you know, we obviously don't want to be bridging anything. So I think that's good positioning. A little hard to tell. That's good positioning. Okay. So again, you know, usual drill. Let's take some solder in the tip, come down and hope for the best. Ah, nuts. I think that's about right. All right, that looks to be okay, I think. Oh, and the scope's died again. I think the microscope battery's going funny. This is why I really want my better microscope. Let's take a better look at what I've just done. So if I bring that up and focus it, we can see that cap I've just installed there. I think the legs on that are just fine. Try and focus that. No. Oh, the damn LCD's getting in the way as well. I think those solder joints are okay. They look okay. But what I will do anyway, the usual little bit of flux. And we'll just be absolutely sure that that is a good solder joint, rather than thinking it is. Let's just be sure it is. to focus this. There we go. Yeah, that's a good solder joint now, for sure. Okay. Now, I'm very slow and methodical with this. Very slow and methodical. But you know, if you're repairing something, in my opinion, unless you're like a very high volume street store or something that repairs things, it makes sense to go slow. I do this as a hobby. So for me, going slow just means I'm less likely to damage things. I mean, if you're an expert electronics repair store or something like that, then, you know, that's different, right? Time is literally money in that industry. Right, now for that next cap. So, positive goes on the bottom, negative strip goes on the top in relation to me. Let's just see if this cap can actually fit without getting in the way. It can. The negative facing the top. So we bend it once again. And it again. Oh, shite. Pardon my French. Time for some bendy with the tweezers again. Right. Once again, I'm bending legs. Man, I wish I had SMD ones right now. That would be easier. Maybe I should just do this in advance. Because like, you're basically not seeing a damn thing while I do this. But I think we're good to trim the legs now on this one. Just to confirm, negative at the top, unmarked at the bottom for positive. And that would go there. Oh, there's not much clearance on that. There's really not much clearance on that. Can I move that back a bit? Would that be enough clearance on the edge? I think it just about might be. I think I need to bend these legs slightly, like tuck them just a little tighter against the capacitor. If I even can. I think I can just a bit. Yeah. Okay. Whoa, why? Why must I... Right, there we go. Okay, perfect. Wish me luck on tacking this down without it all going crazy. Come on. Come on. You know what? That actually went okay. Let's do the other one now. Bucks. More solder. All right. Sorry, I'm just taking a look at this with my naked eye because I can't see it from that angle. Oh yeah, that's soldered okay. Yeah, I think we're good. Can't pay to be can't pay too much to be careful, you know. ISO. Clean up what I've done. Now I want to get this under the scope again. Assuming it'll power on. I just died. That literally just died, didn't it? This is annoying. I want my microscope. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Oh, for pity heck's sake. Right, fine, whatever. I can't record it. Oops. Here we go. Rec mode. Will that work? No. Fine, whatever. Whatever. I'm irritated. As is the tradition. Anyhow, I've got most of these caps done, so I've just got this one and this one on this side of the board to do, so I'm going to do that. This one's usually relatively easy. Ish. Why must everything be fiddly? There we go. You got 100 microfarad, 6.3. Okay, fine. This is probably the most awkward capacitor to actually replace on the whole Game Gear, the one I'm about to do. Really irritating one, this, because of this plastic housing right next to it. So if I just get a bit of flux on there, I'm going to tip my iron tip, and I'm just going to rub some fresh solder on there, and then wick it off. You might notice how much more careful I'm being around the plastic. I haven't damaged it, so that's good. So the next thing I'm going to do is desoldering braid and try and wick the old, well, this new fresh stuff I put on off. I'm being very quick with the desoldering braid here and just sort of running along the length quickly, just so that I can wick up the solder without actually melting the plastic, because melting the plastic, I'd rather not, you know. It probably won't harm it if I melt it a little bit anyway, but, you know, let's not do that in the first place. Actually, I think I'll be desoldering some of these components soon anyway, which would actually make my life easier if I just did it now, but I want to check that the recap actually fix the game gear before doing the next mod, so yeah. Anyway. So that pad is coming up. Let's go a little bit more ISO. Right, so that was 100 microfarad at 6.3. Yes, it was. Right, so let's get one of those. Da, 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 da. Oh, there we go. That's convenient. I found it straight away. Boom. So which side does positive go on? Positive goes closest to the plastic, so that's fine. There we go. Okay, let's snip these legs again. Just to confirm, positive closest to the plastic. Yes. Okay. So then, now it should just be a case of position the cap. There we go. Oh, nuts. My bad. I went and nudged my camera holder. Like a foolish fool. Right, there we go. Oh, we're looking there. Excellent. Okay. Bit out of focus. Actually, I think we could bring this down a little bit. Actually, that might well break. I think that's too tight. Right, there we go. Back to square one. So, bit of flux. In the iron again. Again. And I'll do the same once more. A bit more solder. Just to ensure that we've definitely got a solder joint here, an electrical connection. Flux and flux. Flux goes on, flux goes off. Right, that's good. And I don't believe that any of the structural portions of this are actually blocked or in the way or anything nasty, so that's good. That's clear. Might not be obvious on the camera, but it is. If we raise it up a bit, you can possibly see that better. But this isn't actually overlapped. I don't think. Well, maybe it is. Is it? Oh, damn. Didn't I test the flatness of that? I should do that again. So, real quick. Get that in. Grab the LCD gently, gently. And we just pull this connector out because we won't want this in the way right now. Ah, that actually is in the way. If I do that, or is it? Actually, I don't think that's in the way. That should fit fine, actually. There is room. That's okay. Again, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. So we'll move that back out the way. And next up, it's just a case of taking this off. 1, 2, 3, 4 more caps. So that is the 33 at 6.3. Wouldn't you know it, I just picked one up. Let's get this old cap off. You know what, let's just see if we can take it off with heat like a proper person. It really doesn't want to give with heat. That's not worth it. Snip it off like the others. Struggling to snip this one. There we go. Gotta be so careful when doing that. And that pad's filthy. Assuming there's actually a pad still there. I think there is. Pretty scungy pad, that. Took a bit of cleaning. Okay, that's probably enough. I don't want to apply any more heat on that just because I don't want to tear the pad off. Pretty messy, these pads, though. These were pretty hard to get up. Hopefully, hopefully this will get it clean. I think it's better than it was. Let's give it another running over with some of this. With this nice solder wick. Find the abrasive action helps a little bit, and it's very lightly abrasive, and it will take off any old spongy solder that might be clinging onto it. It's funny, C1 is always a difficult capacitor to clean up on these. Funny. Annoying. But by cleaning these pads up, we ensure we get a good electrical connection when we resolder, so that's really the name of the game here. This was 33 at 6.3. So, yep. So I'm just bending the capacitor legs. There we go. And wouldn't you know it, I bent it the wrong way. That's alright though. I can reorient this way. So I'm just pulling the legs apart again on this cap because it needs to be wider apart. Okay. Always annoying when you orient the capacitor slightly incorrectly. That should do it though. So I will bend those legs apart slightly more actually. Annoying. That done the job. I believe so. Quite a bit of solder on there, but it'll be okay. We don't need a whole ton of it. Again, these old crappy pads are the biggest problem here. But those are nice solder joints now on that too. Excellent. Okay. Sorry, I went a bit quiet for a while. Okay, so we're looking good. So we've got 3 more caps. All of them are 10 microfarad at 16 volts, so that's nice and easy. Okay. So let's get these into view. We got C11 here. So let's do C11. So let's remove it. If it would only be so easy. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. There we go. I got it. I got it. What a bugger. What an absolute bugger. Stupid. It's stupid. Right. Anyway. Oh, sod it. We'll get some flux on there. And then we shall quite simply He soldered the legs with heat and flux. There we go, that's one. Do the other. The other. Take the old flux, the old solder, sorry, off, not the old flux, because there ain't any old flux anymore. Judging by how easy that one was to clean, I don't think that cap was actually bad. But you know, they're old, and I'm replacing the others. I've already got it all open, so might as well. There we go, we're looking good on that one. That's a very nice clean pad. And because I know what all the others are, I can just remove them all. They're all the exact same cap. Come on, snip, you bugger. I'm trying to snip the northernmost cap. Yeah, that's one leg. I'm looking forward to my new wire snips. There we go. That's that one off. Just to confirm it is indeed a 10 volt 16. Yeah. And then this one. Oh, this is tricky to get at. How have you not come off the board yet? Seriously, I'm like, there we go. Let's get you junker off the board. We don't want you on here anymore. Mr. Old Capacitor. Okay. So, same again. Flux. 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 Lots of flux. I'll flux you up, board. I will flux you up. Ah, dear. Okay. How do I get that off? There's a leg buttressed right up against another capacitor. It's this tiny SMD one. And, oh, it's loose. That's fine. I think. Actually, see if I've managed to remove it. I think I did. No, I didn't. Can't grip it. Where is it? I don't want to leave it on there because it could cause a short. But I literally cannot get a grip on the damn thing. Get a grip! Let's try a different pair of tweezers then. I got it. Okay. Now then, let's just clean crap up again. We've got nice clean pads to solder to. You can tell the ones that have taken some slight damage from whatever capacitors were on there that have leaked. Like this one here, slightly damaged. This one was fine. That one was fine. Just interesting, you can tell when you take them off. I mean, you can't always tell with capacitors. Sometimes they just, you know, no visible physical signs. Interesting. I hope that's not damage to the track rail there. I can barely see though. Get that under the scope, assuming it will actually switch on now. I know you can't see this, sorry. Oh, okay. I had just enough time to see it before it crapped out on me, but that was is the tiniest of tiny bits of solder mask has come off. Which is an easy enough fix, I guess. So let's do that. I need a toothpick. I shall be right back. And I'm back with a toothpick. So the problem here is relatively minor, at least. So that's good news. So should be all of the solder mask I need for this. I should just need to put a teeny tiny amount on. Well, how well you guys can see what I just did there. I don't think you can you? Hang on. So, if you look here, you can probably see the small amount of solder mask I've added on. It's just on top of a trace where, like, some of it's just been chipped away. I must have done that with the desoldering braid, maybe. Or with my wire snips. I don't know, just a very slight amount of damage. And now I just need to get that under some ultraviolet, which I do have. But obviously, it's not going to be something I'm going to be easily able to show you guys. Although maybe I can. Maybe I can. I actually normally use what I'm about to use for retro brighting console, game console. So let us see if this will do what we want. And moreover, if I've got the right one. Do. Great. So, should just be able to do this. And that should hopefully cure this. I could really do with one of those little UV flashlights. I might order one of those tonight, actually. Also, these lights seem a bit dim. Oh, yeah, that's because the glasses I've got dim with your ultraviolet. Of course it is. It's like I'm wearing sunglasses now. I think. So, we'll just pass this over this new UV solder mask cover. That's the thing. Whenever we're doing any kind of repair work, we sometimes run into little problems like this. It's perfectly normal. Sometimes we accidentally do a bit of damage. Sometimes we find damage that was already there. I'm not sure which this is, to be honest. I wasn't paying enough attention. I didn't notice it if it was damage that was already there. Probably something I've already done. This is an extremely janky way to cure up UV solder mask as well. All right. Let's um let's have a look. Let's have a look. Do I have something to poke at it with? I do. I don't think it's fully cured. Well, this is going to be a while, guys, I think. So it's time to stick it in my UV solar oven thing. So while we wait, that's just going to cure. Okay. I think it's cured for long enough. I think. So now let's get back to actually recapping this thing. So, a little bit of a funny position here, largely because of the positioning of this LCD screen. Let me spin this right round. There we go. So we got a cap there, cap there, cap there. Okay. And these were all 16-volt 10s, I believe. But I shall consult the technical guide. And the answer is yes, they are. They are all 16-volt 10 microfarad. So, just so happens, I got myself some of them. Good to go. So let's install them. Let's get it done. So, caps, we need 3, 2, 3. Cool. I'm not sure where positive's meant to go on this one. I think this is positive. I think it just came off because it was where that solder mask I just replaced was. Yeah, it was. Okay. Not to worry. So, it's a case of bending capacitor legs. It's always bending bloody capacitor legs when doing this. Don't worry though. And as always, you gotta make the cap do the splits. You gotta teach it how the splits work. Okay, that's one. Time to prepare another. I believe that's another cap that needs to do the splits. And now for the final one. Alright, there we go, guys. So that's 3 caps almost prepared. Almost. Still got to trim the legs, as always. So let's do that. One. Two. Three. Position it. There we go. That's reasonable, I think. Almost. Maybe sorta kinda. God damn it. Stop sliding. There we go. Great. Right, let's get that soldered in. One. Okay. Two. God, why? Why must you do this? Why must you roll over? Well, I guess the proper answer to that is because it's not an SMD. It's a radial. It is not meant for this application. Not that electrics care what it is, but, you know. grab a little more flux. And that should get the joint much better. Yeah. And yeah. I think that's in good and proper. And then just this one. One last cap to go. One. Just the one. God damn it. And once this cap is soldered in, I should be able to check if the repair has worked. So, bit of flux. In the iron again. Heck. Wobbling all over the place there. We go. All of the caps are looking fine. So what I'm going to do now before I power anything on is just double check polarity. So positive on the right hand side, correct. Strip is on the left. This positive was at the bottom where we removed the solder screen by accident and then replaced it. So that's there. Yeah. Positive here is at the bottom. So positive bottom, bottom, negative top, top. That's correct. Then we move around the board, and it's also an opportunity just to check that we actually caught every single capacitor. So positive at the bottom on this one, yes, that's correct. As we can see here, negative at the top. Positive on this side, yes, again, that's correct. Over here, we have... I actually can't tell where the positive's meant to be on that. I need a light. You know, I can refer to the schematic actually. Let's just have a quick look at the technical schematic that I have. Positive at the bottom, negative at the top. That's correct. C55, which is this one. Negative to the right. Correct. C45, negative at the bottom. Correct. C43, negative at the bottom. Correct. C49, I believe that one is. Negative at the top. Correct. C48, negative at the top. Correct. And C68, negative at the bottom facing toward me. Correct. Okay. Yes, and those are both positive at the bottom. And that is negative at the bottom. That is positive at the bottom. And that is... Okay, all those polarities are correct. Can confirm polarity's correct. So, the next thing to do now is to actually hook up the power board, hook up the soundboard, and let's see if this will actually power on. So let me just adjust the camera mount a little. There we go. And what I shall do, I shall gently turn this around. Like so. And then pop that down. And I shall get an ESD brush and some isopropyl. And we'll clean out the cartridge slot. This has had flux on it, actually. Let's not use that. Let me get a fresh brush. Where did it? Oh, there they are. Okay. Brush acquired. We'll get some isopropyl on the brush. Not too much, mind you. I'm just cleaning these contacts because I didn't do this yet. There we go. So let's hook up the audio board. Sorry guys, just tidying up a little bit here. So just gently move this. There we go. What was that? Oh, old cat. Not to worry then. So the power board goes this side. The audio board, I believe, goes this side. I'm correct on that. Am I correct? Yes, I am. Okay. So next up, let's just plug this connector in. Oh, get my gloves caught in it. There we go. That's that connector. Same on this. Oh, this is annoying. It even wants to fold into itself. Ah. Oh, that should do. Okay. So I need a game. Have a game in there. We need speaker, actually, to test the audio. It's going to be a little janky, this setup. Okay, then finally we need power. So let's see if this works. It might not. I think that was audio. Was that audio? That was audio. And we can't see what's going on because there's no backlight. Although, actually, I might grab a flashlight. It's actually hard to tell. Let's power it off. We know the audio works, so I'm going to disconnect that now anyway. I'm going to flip it over gently. That there to stop that folding back up and shorting something. Again, I'm well aware this is quite janky. But let's just see if we get any picture. Obviously we get sound, and that means the system's running, so that's good. Could just be something as simple as, you know, the screen's bust. Oh, no, I got output. I see an image. You guys see? That actually looks quite good. Look at that, guys. That is a working Game Gear. Surprisingly good little screen, that. Very cool. There we go. That is one successfully recapped Sega Game Gear. Obviously, the next step, which I will not be undertaking in this session, is to install a brand new LCD screen. Although I have to say, I think this looks quite good. There's a nice screen on this one. For its age, anyway. It actually has deeper looking blacks from the angle I'm on, I suppose. Yeah, it's a little tricky to see on the recorder there. Look at that, looks great. Perfect. Okay, I'm happy with this repair. That's one successful repair, guys. And incidentally, a great game that's running on there as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a journey for me. And yeah, I hope to see you guys again sometime. Please feel free to tune in again. I will be editing this video down and making it a lot more easy to consume for people. This is just, you know, how it was for me, how I went through the whole process. And as you can see, you know, it worked. Did a good job. Thanks for watching. And goodbye. And good night.